Welcome back to Arifureta, Anime Review episode number 12. This is the 20th episode of the anime, which is called A New Vow. Yes, it's also the 7th episode of season 2. This adapts from pretty much most of chapter 3 of book 5. Pretty much adapts from the start of chapter 3, which begins at page 271. And where they stop, it's a bit unusual. They stop page 285, which you're thinking, wow, that's not much, like very little. And then they go through, get this. Now they do the epilogue this episode, yes. They skip the first couple pages, they did it last week. Here they have pretty much the rest of the epilogue and about 15 pages of this book from chapter 2. Though at least adapts something that takes place prior to the events of this one. Oh yeah, here's the thing about book 6. It is the only book that features a character who is not one of the girls who's involved with the main character. Yeah, she has nothing much to do with him at all, so in fact she's one of the classmates. She's not in love with them. Because mostly, what characters usually pop up on these covers? Now, the character on this cover here, Suzuki, I think her name is, she actually appears on the cover of this book and book 10. Yes, she appears on 2 book covers. Yue, she appears on 3 covers. She appears on 2. I think Tao appears on 1. But generally a lot of the girls do. I think the only ones officially who don't that I could think of is, of course, Mew. She of course, of all the covers, she does appear in all of them. And at the book 6, they go back to reusing characters used before on these covers, just put in different poses. Now, most of the put for this episode, it does start off where chapter 3 starts off, where Mew is trying to wake up Hajime and is Mew, or Hajime Yu, and the wake up, of course, it goes just smacking in the face. Of course, he first is slapping, though it's from a little girl. And it's clearly shown in the episode that these two must have had sex the night prior. Yep, because they're both completely naked. And of course, she just asked Eva's question. Daddy, why are you and big sister you naked? Yes. Well, Papa anyway. That's what she calls her in the anime. In the book, she refers to as Daddy. In the anime, it's Papa. I guess the reason why, because it's probably a bit less uncomfortable to say than Daddy for a little girl who's not technically her father. Yes. Though they do add in the anime that Shia actually into the room too. But it's Miyu's mother, Rima, along with Korra. Heck, they had Shia here to this scene because she's not in this particular scene in the chapter, but they added her in probably because basically just to give Shia more screen time. So they have breakfast, and then of course they discuss possibly them leaving, and then they go outside. Yep, where all the girls put on their bikinis. Yes, which, here's the thing. Pretty much kind of what they did is they took this particular picture from the opening part of the book, and they put all the girls in these attires. Though in the case of Tao, they actually do change the color of her attire. Her attire is black. In the case of the ones due for the anime, Yaoi is the only one basically where her outfit is accurate here. In the case of Shia, they make hers a bit of a darker pink. That's basically for her. Corey is mostly the same except a little bit yellow to her attire. And Tao is black. Heck, they even show Rima in some suit too, where of course you have Hajime, where he basically is making more supplies. You have the girls just running around, and of course playing tag with Mew. Yeah, the 4 girls playing tag with a little girl who's so adorable. And then she jumps in the water, and then she splashes Shia, and apparently during a period of time she apparently ripped off her top. Yes, seriously. And Shia is running on topless. Which, by the way, they mentioned in the book, there was actually onlookers watching these 4 girls being chasing a little girl, and one of them was topless. Yep, and of course, Rima where she slims up to hide and have a conversation with him. At one point, she actually puts her head almost nearly between his legs. And you're probably thinking, like, is something going to happen here? No, she just happened to swim there. And then we had this weird thing here where, yeah, Mayu just happened to pop up, just happened to sit on Hajima's, on his lap after Yaoi decided to basically put it, like, her arm on one, like, grab one of Hajima's arms, and of course, she grabbed the other one. Actually, it's Corey, and they have Miyu, and then they have this thing where, oh, let's have it where Hajime gets all the girls' tops, like just to get the bottom two. Of course, they added, I think it was Tao, who actually is in the water. She is completely naked. She was just knocked out. They do cut the bit out here where they implied that Hajime was referred to as Legend as a pervert. Because of all the swimsuits on his head. They also cut the bit out where Shia's actually was dripping wet. Yeah, they cut that out of the anime. And then, of course, they had the conversation of, you have it where Hyde was talking to Miu about him leaving the next day. It goes over fine. Of course, he promised to take it with him. And of course, can Mama come too? And he's like, okay, fine. It's always so funny. Oh, by the way, in the book, she refers to him as dear. In the anime, it's darling. Yes, Miyu's mother refers to Hajime as darling in the anime. Yeah, it's another one of these minor changes they make in the anime. And then they show off their submarine. There's a little bit cut out here. And this scene ends, basically the whole thing with Hajime and the group ends halfway through the episode where they go off the submarine, they go say goodbye, and they get their good luck charms, and of course she says goodbye to Hajime first, then of course they're the big sisters, basically all four girls who are in love with Hajime. And that's it for them for the rest of the episode, because mostly put for the rest of this episode, it's mostly derived from the epilogue and 15 pages of chapter 1 from book 6. Yep. Because it's like we have a bunch of stuff happening. Basically kind of mix and match, more of like chronological order per se. They do show a scene of Anko, where in the case of her little scene, it's mostly accurate. It's from the actual epilogue from book 5, and it's a pretty accurate scene. They show a scene of the Divine Mountain. Of course, it goes to the Demon Region. Another scene that's pretty accurate from the book. In the book, it's like about basically it takes half one page, half another. The Anko is kind of the same thing too. Let's see. This is also related to the kingdom. This is hint at something possible to explore in the next 7 episodes of the series, where they do change what's going on here, like the wording here. We cut to the kingdom where you have a woman who this actually is Princess Lily, where she's running around looking for support, which in the book they mentioned happened a few days prior to the start of the chapter 6. Now, do they have the prelude? Don't think they do. No, not really. They have one scene end with the whole thing with the Divine Mountain, where it ends exactly where book 5 ends, with basically the nun telling Hajime, come if you dare. They also cut the bit out here, the reason why Hajime is leaving Miyu behind, because he is not want to bring her to the two most dangerous labyrinths that there is. Yeah, he does not want to bring her there at all, so basically spend time with her mom. Which, they cut that out in the anime. You can imply that probably that was the reason why he did in the anime, but they don't say it. Yes. Then you cut to the kingdom, or after you have Lily looking for allies, because of what the heck is going on here. You're probably thinking, what exactly is going on in the kingdom? And why is everybody acting so weird? Well, they actually changed the name of this particular thing in the anime. In the book, they refer to it as the hollowness. In the anime, they refer to it as the voidness. I'm not really sure why. It's almost implied, though, that they do see the king as not being real, which is just more energetic. And, of course, Meld and his vice captain, Josie, basically discuss this. They go off their own thing. They could a little bit of conversation out here, what he was thinking prior to what they show in the anime next, which is where he's writing a letter and possibly something that might go to Hajima, and then he basically just hears something knocking the door, and it's Daisuke. Yes, Daisuke. Yeah, I don't know. It's not the hero. It's somebody else. I'm not remember who this one is. It's one of the classmates. So, where basically he's wanting to discuss his advice with him on something, but he's hesitating. And of course, he's basically just shaking his, jittering his leg. And then they're knocking at the door. It's Josie, and he opens the door up and he starts attacking him. And it turns out he actually has the void. Well, the voidness is what they call it here. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this when I finish talking what happened next. And of course, they fight for a while. And then the episode ends quite interesting with Mel being freaking stabbed in the side. That's how the episode ends. Though there is more stuff happening here right afterwards, so don't worry about that. Damn good episode. Love it. Can't wait for next week, which is called A Disturbing Darkness. Which, look at my line, looks like they adapt from book 5, well, mostly book 6, but I would think, though, they probably would hopefully finish adapting that chapter, because here's the thing. If you're curious, though, how long is chapter 3 for book 5? If you're curious, though, it is exactly 32 pages. And they only adapt roughly about half the chapter. Well, yes, they adapt mostly, I think it was about 14 pages. Yes, 14 pages of chapter 3. That's actually, it's more like about almost 15 pages per se, but it's mostly pretty much about half the chapter. Hopefully next week they actually bother to finish adapting this chapter and love finishing up what they adapted from chapter 1 book 6. Yes. Now, there is a prelude for the book. Did they adapt this episode? No, that's not it. I don't think they do. No. No, they don't adapt the prelude for book 6. They might adapt the book maybe for next week's episode, but yeah. I think they changed the name from the Howlness to Void. I think that was a mistake on the part of the anime because calling the Voidness really makes no sense at all. Now, I don't know if you want to blame this on Funimation for continually changing stuff, but I'm of the opinion this is probably the fault of the studio who made the show. Yes, I think they were the ones who made the change. I think it was kind of weird. At least the other changes, like things they cut here, are just minor bits at best. That mostly a little bit expands upon world stuff, but not exactly like it's not exactly feels very rushed. No. The episode is actually pretty good pace, and it's surprising though they do this for the episode where it's like half of chapter 3, the rest of the epilogue for book 5, and also like 15 pages of chapter 1 book 6. I'm like, that's interesting, the fact they did that. Yes, I would not be surprised though if they managed to finish this up next week. I wouldn't be surprised about that. Yep. So yeah, that's good. Pretty much it for this particular video. So tomorrow, expect to see at least 3 comic corners, along with new reviews, news episodes of Shaman King, Case of Vantos, and How Realistic About the Kingdom. Okay, next video. Bye.